And good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with breaking news. The Erie County Sheriff has now wrapped up his internal affairs investigation into his chief of narcotics, who 4 days ago pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of reckless driving. We have exclusive new information tonight about the renewed push to recover Erie County taxpayer money that was paid out following his criminal conduct. Now, this is all related to Friday's guilty plea by Erie County's Chief of Narcotics, DJ Granville. He crashed into more than half a dozen cars on Buffalo's west side late at night in April of 2024. Sheriff John Garcia saying a short time ago, within the past half hour, that Granville will be suspended without pay for 30 days as a result of his conduct. The sheriff also saying that Granville and his attorneys will now work to pay restitution related to taxpayer money that's been paid out over all of this. So take a look. You can see the damage to Granville's county-owned truck. Erie County Comptroller Kevin Hardwick telling 7 News that he believes Granville, not taxpayers, should be responsible for the cost of the damage he caused to that truck. It was assigned to him for his duties as a sheriff's chief of narcotics. Now remember, 7 other vehicles were also hit. We checked, and as of today, Erie County has paid out nearly $37,000 to individuals or insurance companies related to the damage that Granville caused that night. There are 4 remaining claims that have not yet been paid out, but they're expected to be with a total of around $60,000. Now, the county has been paying out these claims because the sheriff's office claimed Granville was on duty when the crashes happened. Friday, the sheriff said explicitly that Granville claimed he was working at the time of all of this. Well, we can report exclusively tonight that the Niagara County District Attorney's Office, which was appointed to be a special prosecutor in this case, found during its criminal investigation that Granville was in fact off duty. That, coupled with this criminal conviction, would give the county strong grounds to recoup that taxpayer money. We also have this for you new tonight. Erie County Comptroller Kevin Hardwick sent this letter to the State Attorney General asking Letitia James to conduct an independent investigation. It says, quote, given the additional information that has come to light, including that Buffalo police officers refused to cooperate with the Niagara County District Attorney's inquiry, I would like to join Buffalo Councilmember David Rivera in requesting that your office conduct an independent investigation. And Comptroller Hardwick joins us live here in studio tonight. So obviously the breaking news over the past half hour, the sheriff's office investigation has wrapped up. I want to ask you about that first because your chief concern in all of this, as the county's fiscal watchdog, has been taxpayer money paying for the damage. It sounds like Granville is willing to pay that.
Absolutely, and I think that's great news, and I want to see that we follow that through. Shortly after all of this broke back in April, it broke in March. In April, I sent a letter to the Personnel Commissioner of Erie County saying, you know, if Detective Granville retires during this, he's owed a certain amount of money for unpaid personal time, unpaid vacation, and the like. And if he does retire, we ought to make sure that all these claims are settled before we do that payout. Hopefully that won't be necessary now because apparently he's, according to the sheriff's statement, is willing to make that restitution. The big problem, of course, is going to be figuring out what that number is. I mean, I think we're talking about the 7 vehicles to which there was damage. Not all of those claims have been settled. Apparently, they haven't been settled. Plus, you've got the damage to the vehicle that he was driving, the county-owned vehicle he was driving. So I think we need to sort all that out, hopefully get all the money back, and then, you know, from a taxpayer standpoint, we'll at least have taken care of that.
Yeah, so the county-owned pickup truck there was obviously worth a good chunk of change. It wasn't brand new. It was sold at auction for a fraction of what it was worth. So that is money on top of the $60,000 we believe there will be at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're probably talking in the neighborhood of $70,000, I'm guessing.
Yeah. One of the things that we've heard from so many viewers, a lot of people out in the community, many people feel, obviously, had they done what DJ Granville did that night, they would have faced a much steeper penalty. So does the fact that taxpayers were shelling out money to pay for the damages, that was sort of the insult to injury for all of this?
Absolutely. And early on, when we discovered that according to our payroll records, Detective Granville was not on duty at the time of the accident, I said we ought to recover that money, and that is indeed what we're going to do.
I also showed there the letter that you've now sent today to the State Attorney General asking for an outside investigation. Why do you think that's important? Councilmember Rivera saying
Well,
the same.
Councilmember Rivera did that early on. No one else jumped on board. I'm not sure anybody else needed to jump on board. The request was made to the Attorney General. I think it was the other day the detail that came out that the police officers that were on the scene refused to cooperate with the special prosecutor, the Niagara County DA. That's not a good look. And I think that any investigation that comes out, local investigation, I think is maybe tainted. We want people to have respect for the system and to trust the police. So I think we need an independent investigation. I think Councilmember Rivera was right a few weeks ago, and I'm joining him in that request to the Attorney General now.
Finally, in the statement that we got from the sheriff on Friday, he said everyone in the Erie County Sheriff's Office, including those in the chain of command, must do better as we look back at what happened. We're still waiting on the Buffalo Police Internal Affairs investigation to come out. But at this point, has there been enough accountability in your mind?
Well, I think we're waiting on those investigations.
Yep.
And I think that's why I'm calling for the Attorney General to do this. You know, I grew up watching the Senate Watergate investigation. And I can remember Senator Howard Baker of Tennessee, the ranking Republican on the committee, always asked every witness, what did the president know and when did he know it? And I think we have to ask that question up and down the chain of command. I mean, obviously, you know, this took 11 months to come out. Someone had that information, someone was covering it up. How far up that went, you know, we don't know, but someone's got to ask those questions and find out. And I think the State Attorney General is the appropriate person to do that. Yeah, that's their role.
Because to be clear, the sheriff's office told the county that DJ Granville was on duty when this happened. The Niagara County DA says the opposite. Kevin Hardwick, Erie County Comptroller, thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome, Michael.